So, Benedict, how's the weather in Germany?
Actually, pretty bad. It has been raining for, I think, 2 days, and it should be raining for 2 more days, or I think three. And we had a bad thunderstorm yesterday, but we're now in Bavaria, not in Konstanz, but I think actually in Konstanz they had a bad thunderstorm as well. That's what my brother told me. So that's what's going on here. How's the weather in Colorado then?
We had one really bad thunderstorm yesterday. I'll play some audio from that now. For the most part, it's been pretty good. It's been sunny with some clouds, but it's been unusually rainy for Colorado in the summer. So, what's the weather generally like in Constance? Just go around the year, like per month or per season, whatever.
I suppose if I start in the spring, you kind of have that mushy weather where it's not particularly warm, but it's not cold, and there's no snow, but there's also um not much sun going on. Um, it's mostly foggy, and there's just a lot of clouds. So
So, it's like England in the
yeah,
spring?
kind of like England. And when we get to the summer, it's pretty nice. We have a lot of sun. Sometimes the occasional like summer thunder. We call it Sommergewitter. I don't know if you guys have summer thunder or summer thunderstorm. That's something we have a term for here. But yeah, it's pretty nice in the summer. It gets pretty hot. I think last year we got to around 37, 38 Celsius or degrees Celsius at peak um, warmth, which is pretty bad if you do sports or tennis or something. But generally, you can get around that by just jumping in the lake, which is pretty nice to have. In the autumn, it is also kind of springish, meaning that it's cold, but it's not particularly kind of that winter feeling. So you don't have snow, you don't have Christmas coming around, you just have leaves laying all over the place. There's a nice big hill on that you can fly kites, and that's quite nice. That's something to do in autumn. And there are also some, I think the cross country or generally the kind of race season starts in autumn and goes over winter, and then I think the real cross country season in Germany will be like winter to springish. I think in America it's in like more autumn, summer to autumn time.
Yeah,
But
it's in the fall into the winter.
do you say fall or autumn?
We say both. I generally say fall. I think it just really depends on where you live.
Alright, so you would say fall is the more Colorado-ish version,
Yes,
or
I would say that.
yeah,
Most people around me say fall.
yeah. We get taught British English in our schools, not American English. Coming into winter, it used to have quite some snow around here, but in the last years we didn't have that. I think last year we didn't even have, or I don't remember a day where we had a lot of snow coming in, so that you could go kind of build a snowman or have a snowball fight. That's something I didn't do this winter because there was just no snow. But I
Hmm.
used to do that, and it's pretty fun because we, as I said, live at the lake, so there are a lot of hills where you can go down and have some fun.
Hmm.
Yeah, and the winter is also a nice season. It's not one of those in between seasons like fall or spring. How's the weather in general in Colorado then?
It's always dry in Colorado. We've had really high humidity this year simply because I think there's a bunch of rain. And because of that dryness, we get all kinds of rattlesnakes and if you go higher in altitude, if you go to a place that has a lot of dirt or a lot of sand, then you will most likely find a rattlesnake. A lot of the hiking trails around here have rattlesnakes. And then in the winter, it was really weird. Last winter we had like 5 big snows, and then they all melted within like 3 days, and it was like late spring the rest of the winter. Like it was 70s. It was really nice last winter, but when it wasn't in the 70s, it was snow all over the ground.
That's kind of the opposite of what we had last winter, because in Konstanz it was just constantly cold, but we had no snow. You get snow at under 0 degrees Celsius, and it was just like on 0 to 5 degrees. So
Hmm.
kind of the all the downsides of winter.
How windy is it?
But I feel I'd say it's most windy in the fall season,
Okay, yeah, that's
and
natural because all this stuff is getting blown down, all
yeah,
the
and
leaves.
mm, I wouldn't say it's very windy. It's always windy in the same direction, because as I said, there's like that ditch going into the lake, so it kind of always blows down.
Oh,
But it's always or the wind over the lake is always coming from the same direction. So if you go to the lake, you'll always see the same pattern of waves coming towards you. So it's always from kind of slightly left, um, and that's where the wind blows from. So I do not know where that is. Probably because the Alps are there, and the Alps are like the big ditch. So the air just comes down from there, and then
yeah, it's kind of the same with us. I mostly, whenever I notice wind, again by feel, it's coming from the north. Sometimes it comes from northeast. Sometimes it comes from northwest. It really just depends. But the clouds always come from the west to the east, which is interesting because that wind that's driving the clouds can go over the mountains.
that's interesting. Yeah, I suppose the um, you know Cherrapunji, and what happens there is they have some kind of big mountains next to the town. Now, that's what our geology teacher told us. And all the clouds that are coming from one side are kind of slowed down by the mountains, or the wind that's driving them. It's slowed by. It's is slowed down by the mountains. So what happens is that when there are enough clouds, it just starts pouring down on them, and that's why they get such a high spike. And I suppose that might be the issue, or the thing here that's causing all the clouds or all the rain coming from the west, because that's where the mountains are, and if all the clouds kind of get slowed down over the mountains, that's probably where they're going to pour down, I guess. But I'm not a geologist. We could probably ask one if we want it, but I'll just have to speculate.
And then also, real quick, in America, we call the weather people meteorologists.
Yeah, probably meteorologist is right.
So, as I said earlier, we have rattlesnakes because it's so dry here. And I live fairly close to Rocky Mountain National Park. So, we have all kinds of animals up there. We got bears. I've never actually seen a grizzly bear, but I have seen black bears up there. We have tons of elk. You can hear them calling. A lot of times you'll see just herds of elk just on the side of the road. So we have a lot of elk. We have a decent amount of rattlesnakes. I've only actually ever seen one rattlesnake, but that's because I don't hike a ton. So what kind of animals do you guys have?
We have a variety of animals. We have pretty many. You couldn't call them national parks, but they're kind of nature preservation zone. Yeah, and we have a lot of those, and obviously you can't just walk in them, but you kind of know what animals are in there. And I've seen a hog myself. Actually, it wasn't in one of those nature preserves, but it was on a trail run, and that was pretty scary because I just didn't know how to react. But we have deer around here. I've seen some, or I think they're actually the kind of same deer family that I'd see. I think there's a mama deer and two little, we call them rehkitze, and little deer babies. And we have falcon. They're like kind of smaller eagles. I do not know if you have those.
Like hawks?
Yeah, hawks. Yeah, that's it, hawks. We have those, and just a variety of wood animals. I I'd say yes, but we do not have like these kind of extreme animals like bears and rattlesnakes, which
Extreme animals. I like that. That's good.
which I find quite nice because I don't have to worry about running into one of those. Yeah, one question I have is, I know you said you don't have that much experience with rattlesnakes, but what's the thing that you actually do if you encounter a rattlesnake?
So I'm glad you asked that because I actually have a book called Look Big by Rachel Levin. And a side note, this is not a sponsored podcast. So I encountered a rattlesnake on a hike about a month ago. And I was going to climb up a rock and it was in a bush at the base of the rock. I heard it move. It startled me and I kind of jumped. And then I heard it start to rattle and I was like, okay, that's a rattlesnake. So I just kind of walked away. I couldn't see it, but I definitely heard it. So this is what the book Look Big says to do. Leave a snake alone. The bad stuff happens when people don't. Let it pass. Give it a good 15 feet. Coiled, rattling, and head raised, give it even more. If you accidentally step on one and get bitten, keep cool. But seriously, don't run. Getting your heart rate up makes the venom seep faster. Skip the snake bite kits and tourniquets. That's outdated advice. Just call Poison Control at 800-222-1222. That's U.S. In Arizona or California, where most bites occur, plug this number into your phone and do your best to avoid them in the first place. A sunny 90-degree Fahrenheit day is snake weather. No flip-flops, wear boots, jeans even. A study actually proved Denim's effectiveness against venom injection. That's pretty cool. Don't use earbuds, you want to hear the rattle. On a mountain bike, be extra cautious. Rattlesnakes are designed to hear the pounding of bison hooves, not the quiet roll of a tire tread. Peek under a log before sitting on it, shake out your sleeping bag, and if you've got to peel off the trail to pee, toss a few pebbles first. So it says just give them a wide berth. Don't go near them.
Well, that'd be pretty scary having a rattlesnake in your sleeping bag.
Oh man. That also happened with the black widows. They'll be in your shoes and stuff.
Actually, I know a story from a guy, and they actually came from Australia, and they had black widows in their yard, and he told me it was quite a wrestle to get them out, because you can't just, he said they would carry around their kind of young spiders on their back, and it's pretty big, so you just can't really kill it. I mean, how do you want to do that? Yeah, I think they got rid of him, but must have been pretty scary having that thing in your yard.
So, obviously, they have them in Australia. Do you guys have black widows?
I've never seen or heard of one, but I'll just search it.
Spiders not to be feared in Germany. There's no need to be frightened at the sight of a spider in Germany.
But I know that there's a German name for it. It's called Schwarze Witwe, which is, I mean, it's kind of the literal translation of Black Widow. I actually found a photo or a picture of a redback spider carrying around the younglings. It's called an egg sac.
We'll put a link in the show notes. And if you want to listen to more episodes, go to anchor.fm/Egan-Benedict, that's EGAN Benedict. If you want to listen on YouTube, it's just the Venn Diagram Podcast. Go ahead and subscribe if you're over there. If you want to get the episodes earlier, though, listen on Anchor, because for YouTube we have to create video content and that takes longer, so it's not going to be quite as timely. So if you want to get the episodes right after they come out, go ahead and head on over to anchor.fm/Egan-Benedict. Our website is VennDiagramPodcast.wixsite.com/site. Benedict has coded a weather bot who can send emails and such. So if you want to get an email from the weatherman, Benedict's bot, go ahead and email us at VennDiagramPodcast@gmail.com.
So we're done for this episode of the Venn Diagram Podcast. Thanks for tuning in.